I'm going to make beef ribs here, slow cooked beef ribs. I probably don't need to say more than that, but I can take it one step further and tell you I'm making sticky beef ribs. These are to die for. And what I love about them is it's a combination of salty from the soy sauce and sweet from the hoisin sauce and brown sugar. Now I'm just heating up some vegetable oil here. You don't need too much oil, just enough to coat the bottom, and you want it to be a high heat. Now let's talk about these beef ribs. You can see that there's one piece of bone on one end and then the rest is meat. Now if you can't get these, all you have to do is just pre-order them. Call your butcher ahead of time. That's what I do. Meat side down to start with, and don't overcrowd the pan. So you may need to do this in a few batches, but I've got a nice big saute pan here so they fit perfectly. Okay, so while we're getting some really good colour on the meat, let's get on to our aromatics. We've got onions, so 2 large onions, and you just want to slice these. You don't need to finely chop them at all. This is going to cook for 2.5 hours, so a lot of this is just almost going to turn into a jam-like consistency. Now these onions don't go in just yet. Once we've got some really, really good colour on the meat, then we'll add these in and get some more colour on the onions. Now that the onions are done, we've got garlic, 4 cloves of garlic, and we just want to bruise them. And I'm going to leave them whole for this. Also some ginger. Now it looks like a lot of ginger, but when ginger cooks really, really slowly, it almost goes sweet. So you can mince this if you like, but I'm going to slice it really finely. And then I'm going to cut it again so we've got a julienne. And let's have a look at our meat. Beautiful. That's what we're looking for. See that colour there? That is how I want this. So turn them over onto the bone and onto the other meaty side. Now this is going to take about 5 to 6 minutes all up. Once that's done, I'm going to remove it, just place it on a plate, and then we'll get our onions in, the garlic and the ginger, and then we're just going to cook that for another 5 minutes until it's soft and slightly coloured. There's some good colour on those onions, so let's add our spices. You don't need much as long as they're whole, so 1 whole cinnamon stick and 2 star anise. Now once they're in, I should add a little bit of coriander. Now not the coriander leaves, but the roots, because there's so much flavour in there, and we're going to just finely chop the roots and the stems, and we'll use the leaves for a garnish later on, so they can go in at this stage. Perfect. Now let's talk about sauces. I'm using hoisin here. I love hoisin. It's not just for duck pancakes, but it's a really nice condiment to add to something like this. This is going to make our beef ribs really sticky. So a good 1/2 cup in there. And just to round off the sweetness, 1 tablespoon of this brown sugar. Now this brown sugar is going to give it a really nice golden deep colour and that molasses flavour. So let's just mix that in. I'm going to turn the heat down at this stage. Beautiful. And we need some saltiness in here. So 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1, 2. I'm going to add 1 litre of beef stock. You could use chicken stock if that's what you have. And now, once that's coming to the boil, which it is, we can add our meat. So return the meat in. We're going to put the meat side down first so the bone is poking out. And we're just going to arrange it evenly around the dish. And I'd actually recommend turning this halfway through the cooking process just to make sure that it is cooking evenly on both sides. Now I have a lid ready to go, but I'm also going to add a cartouche, which is just a really fancy name for a piece of glad bake that's been cut into a circle. And this pretty much gives us guarantee that it's going to steam. The steam is going to lift and then come down to keep everything really moist in the pot. So make a square, and I'll cut that little piece off. I want to fold it a few times into a triangle, always coming back to the centerpiece there. And you just measure it to make sure it fits perfectly, and with some scissors or a knife, we're just going to cut. We just need a little air hole just in the center there. Voila, perfect. So that just fits in there nicely. Lid goes on, and that's it. This goes straight into the oven. 160 degrees, so not too hot, and this is going to cook for 2 to 2.5 hours, or until the meat is really tender and starts to fall away from that bone. So the moment of truth, let's have a look at these ribs. And the smell, oh, amazing. I love that smell. You can smell the star anise, the hoisin, yum. And have a look at that. See, this for me is really exciting cooking. This is where I get so happy because that meat, it literally is falling off the bone, but I like to present it with the bone there because it does look quite pretty. Now this sauce is ready, it's thick, but I like to take it a little bit further. I want this to be super sticky, super glossy. So I just take the meat out, place it on a plate. It'll warm up again when I put it through the sauce. We're going to turn the heat on to medium to high and let that bubble away. So once that's reduced, I'm going to serve it with some rice and some bok choy. Now that sauce is thick and look how glossy it is. So you just want to put the meat back in. This is going to warm it up straight away. And look at that, you just turn it in that sauce and it sticks to it like glue. A little bit of rice on a plate, just on one side. A little bit of bok choy. And then I'm going to take the most beautiful one. They are all beautiful, but this one's just perfect. And that just sits right in there. I'm going to find the biggest spoon I can get because I want a good few tablespoons of that. Yum, look at that. There was soy sauce in there, hoisin, and sugar, and that's what it does. It creates this wonderful, magical sauce. Crunch like we spoke about, peanuts, a little bit of spring onion, and then coriander, not just because it looks good. I love the flavour in there. And there you have it. Doesn't get any better than that. I'm going to taste it right now. I've been very patient. Have a look at this meat. It just falls off. It's tender, it's moist. That is heaven to me. Best way to cook beef.